July 25, 1944, 06:11 hours, outside Saint-Lô, Normandy. The hedgerows are still wet with morning mist when the first engine roars to life. Diesel smoke drifts low across the crushed wheat fields. Somewhere ahead, artillery thunders like distant doors slamming shut. The ground trembles. Birds lift from the trees in frantic black clouds. Then the tanks begin to move. You hear them before you see them, a rolling, metallic thunder that grows louder with every second. Treads chew through mud. Suspension arms groan. Steel hulls grind against hedgerow roots and shattered fence posts. An American tank column is forming up. Sherman tanks, dozens of them. Their long antennas whip in the breeze. White stars are smeared with dust and cordite. Crews ride half-exposed in open hatches, goggles pulled down, cigarettes clenched between teeth. The smell of oil and burned powder hangs in the air. Across the fields, hidden behind tree lines and camouflaged netting, German observers watch through binoculars. They are not impressed. A young Panzer officer lowers his glasses and snorts. "More of those tin cans," he mutters. Nearby, an older Hauptmann adjusts his field cap and smiles thinly. Let them come. For 3 years, German armored doctrine has ruled Europe. From the deserts of North Africa to the steppes of Russia, the Panzerwaffe has crushed enemy armor with cold efficiency. Their Tigers and Panthers are legends now, machines built for domination. 88mm guns, sloped armor, thick frontal plates that shrug off anything smaller than a direct artillery hit. And the Americans. They've brought the M4 Sherman, a tank the Germans call a toy. At headquarters briefings, German officers mock it openly. Too tall, too thin, too easy to kill. They nickname it Tommy Cooker when it burns. Ronson lights on the first strike. Panzer ace Michael Wittmann once sneered that Shermans were targets, not tanks. Field reports from Italy call them death traps. Normandy intelligence estimates say American crews average only weeks in combat before their vehicles are destroyed. In German mess tents, the joke circulates freely. One Tiger is worth 5 Shermans. And today, near Saint-Lô, the Germans believe they are about to prove it again. The American column halts at the edge of a hedgerow maze. This is bocage country, centuries-old embankments packed with stone and tree roots, forming walls 10 feet thick. Fields are small. Visibility is short. Every corner is a potential ambush. Lieutenant Jack Thornton, 3rd Armored Division, wipes sweat from his eyes and scans the greenery ahead. He is 23. His tank, Lucky Lady, has been in combat for only 9 days. Already, 2 of his platoon mates are dead. His gunner, Corporal Frank Mendez, runs a hand over the breech of the 75mm gun. Feels like a trap, he says. Thornton nods. It always does. Overhead, the sky still echoes from the morning's bombing. Operation Cobra has just torn open the German lines with the largest carpet bombing strike since D-Day. Entire Panzer units were buried alive in their dugouts. Roads are choked with wreckage. Smoke columns rise like black towers. The breakthrough is finally here. And the Shermans are about to pour through. A radio crackles. Red 1, move up, you're clear to push. Thornton grips the hatch rim. Driver, advance. The tank lurches forward. Steel noses press into the hedgerow. Dozer blades bite into dirt and roots. The Sherman climbs, crests, and drops into the next field. Instantly, the world explodes. A shell slams into the tank to their right. The turret vanishes in a fireball. Another hit punches through a hull 30 yards away. Flames jet from the engine deck. A man bails out, burning, screaming, before collapsing in the dirt. Panther tree line, 2 o'clock. Someone yells over the radio. The German trap snaps shut. From concealed positions, Panther tanks open fire. Their long 75mm guns spit death across the field. Each shot lands with brutal precision. Sherman after Sherman erupts, black smoke boiling into the sky. Inside Lucky Lady, the impact sounds like a giant hammer striking a bell. Armor-piercing, Thornton shouts. Mendez swings the gun. The Sherman fires. The round slams into a Panther's glacis plate and shatters harmlessly. The German tank does not even flinch. Then it fires again. Another Sherman dies. For the German gunners, it feels like the old days: Poland, France, Russia. Enemies charging straight into prepared killing zones. Inferior machines. Inferior tactics. One Panther commander, Oberleutnant Klaus Richter, watches through his sight as American tanks burn in the field. "They never learn," he says calmly. "Load." His gunner chambers another round. But something is different this time. The smoke does not stop. More Shermans keep coming. They crest the hedgerow in pairs, in threes, in whole platoons. They spread out, engines roaring, machine guns hammering. Infantry pours in behind them, sprinting through shell holes, bazookas slung over shoulders. A second wave follows the first. Then a third. German gunners begin calling targets faster than they can reload. Left, another one left. Two more advancing. Infantry everywhere. The field becomes a maze of fire and movement. Sherman smoke grenades blossom into white clouds. Artillery crashes down on Panther positions. Fighter bombers scream overhead, their rockets streaking toward the tree line. A Panther explodes under a direct hit. Then another. Richter feels the ground shake as bombs walk toward his position. Dirt rains down inside the turret. His radio crackles with frantic voices. "They're everywhere. We're being flanked. Where are our reserves?" Through the smoke he sees it. A line of Shermans advancing abreast, turrets swiveling, guns firing in rhythm, infantry riding their hulls like steel cavalry. There are too many. Not 5, 15, 20. An entire American armored regiment is breaking through. And behind them more engines, more dust, more steel. The Germans have destroyed dozens already, but the line does not break. It grows. By midday, St. Lo is in American hands. The German front is cracked wide open. And the Panzer commanders who once laughed at the Sherman now find themselves staring at a reality they never planned for: not a duel of machines, but a flood. A war not of quality, but of quantity. Not of perfect tanks, but of endless ones. As Richter's Panther pulls back under air attack, he watches another wave of Shermans roll past the burning wrecks of their own. Unstoppable. Relentless. And for the first time since the war began, a terrifying thought enters his mind. What if the Americans don't need better tanks? What if they only need more? Because somewhere beyond the hedgerows, entire tank armies are already on the move. And the steel tide has only just begun. The retreat does not look like a retreat at first. It looks like a slow, deliberate repositioning. Orders barked over radios, engines starting in sequence. Panther and Panzer IV crews revering out of tree lines under cover of smoke, infantry melting back through shattered villages. But then the roads clog. Horse-drawn supply wagons tangle with half-tracks, fuel trucks burn in ditches, wounded men stumble between columns of armor. Overhead, American thunderbolts circle like hawks, waiting for anything that moves. The German line is no longer bending. It is breaking. Oberleutnant Klaus Richter's Panther rolls through the village of Marigny, its right track chewed and sparking from shrapnel damage. His driver swerves around a burned-out Panzer IV still smoldering in the square. A dead radio operator slumps against a wall, his headset still hanging from his neck. Richter wipes grime from his periscope and scans the road behind them. Shermans. Dozens of them. They roll through the village in columns, engines howling, infantry clinging to their hulls. White stars flash through smoke and dust. Their guns swivel left and right, hunting. They are not cautious. They are not slowing down. They are pouring through the gap. For the first time in the war, German armored doctrine is being outrun. 2 days later, July 27th, near Coutances, General George S. Patton has just arrived in Normandy. He stands beside a command jeep, ivory-handled pistols on his hips, watching armored columns stream past. His helmet gleams. His eyes burn with anticipation. "This is it," he tells his staff. "They're cracked, now we run." The Third Army is activated within hours. And when Patton's tanks hit the open country beyond the bocage, the war changes shape. The hedgerows are gone, the fields widen, roads stretch toward the horizon. The German defensive maze dissolves into open maneuver warfare, the kind the Americans trained for, drilled for, dreamed of. And the Shermans finally get room to breathe. In a captured farmhouse outside Avranches, Major Hans von Brecht studies a situation map spread across a dining table. He commands a Panzer battalion pulled back from the front to refit. His unit is supposed to plug the breakthrough. But the red grease-pencil arrows on the map keep multiplying. American spearheads are already 50 kilometers beyond the old front line. They are not advancing. They are racing. "Impossible," von Brecht mutters. His intelligence officer shakes his head. They are fielding entire armored divisions at once, hundreds of tanks. We believe their production was exaggerated. Outside, the rumble of engines grows. Not German. American. A runner bursts into the room. "Herr Major, enemy tanks on the highway." Von Brecht grabs his binoculars and runs to the window. What he sees drains the color from his face. The road is full. Sherman after Sherman after Sherman moving at speed. Some carry infantry, others tow artillery. Fuel trucks follow close behind. Recovery vehicles haul damaged tanks away while replacements roll forward. It is not a column. It is a conveyor belt. German doctrine is built around elite units, carefully trained crews, technically superior machines, precision. But this is something else. This is industrial warfare. Each Panther destroyed is irreplaceable. Factories back home are bombed nightly. Steel shortages slow production. Rail lines are wrecked. Fuel is rationed to the leader. Each Sherman destroyed is already being replaced. In Detroit, they build one every 90 minutes. In England, entire fields are stacked with reserve tanks. In Normandy, American repair crews drag damaged Shermans out of the line, weld on new armor, swap engines, and send them back into combat within days. Sometimes hours. A burned Sherman is towed away. Another takes its place. The line never shrinks. On August 3rd, von Brecht's battalion finally makes contact near the town of Vire. They take up positions along a ridge overlooking a crossroads, Panthers hull down, infantry dug in, packed guns camouflaged in hedgerows. The plan is simple. Let the Americans come. Kill as many as possible. Withdraw. They have done it before. At dawn, the first Sherman appears. Then 2 more. Then 10. They crest the ridge in formation, dust plumes behind them, artillery walking ahead of their advance. American infantry follows in armored half-tracks, machine guns blazing. The first Panther fires. A Sherman erupts. The second Panther fires. Another dies. The German gunners work like machines. Targets range fire. Targets range fire. 5 Shermans burn. 10. 15. But still they come. They fan out, smoke grenades burst, tank destroyers move to the flanks, Fighter-bombers dive in, rockets screaming. A P-47 rips across the ridge, unleashing 8 rockets into the tree line. A pack gun vanishes in a fireball. Then the Shermans hit the German line. At point-blank range, von Brecht watches through his binoculars as one of his Panthers is swarmed by 3 Shermans. They circle it like wolves, firing into its sides and rear. A lucky hit jams its turret. Another sets its engine ablaze. The crew bails out. They are cut down by machine gun fire. "Pull back," von Brecht shouts into the radio. "We're being overrun." His command tank reverses as fast as its engine allows. Around him, the ridge collapses. Panzer grenadiers fall back through smoke and dust. Half-tracks burn. Wounded scream for medics. American tanks surge forward, firing on the move. This is not a battle. It is a tidal wave. That night, von Brecht writes in his diary by candlelight. "We destroyed at least 30 tanks today. It made no difference. They simply replaced them. We are not fighting an army. We are fighting a factory." Across France, German commanders reach the same conclusion. The Sherman is not a dueling tank. It is not built to win one-on-one. It is built to arrive everywhere, all at once. And it is doing exactly that. By mid-August, American armored columns are slicing through Brittany. Others race east toward Paris. Entire German divisions are trapped in the Falaise pocket, annihilated from the air and ground. Thousands of vehicles litter the roads. And everywhere the same sight repeats. Burned-out Tigers, abandoned Panthers, and endless lines of Shermans rolling past them. In a château tent near Argenton, General Heinrich Eberbach studies aerial reconnaissance photos. He commanded Panzer Group West. He knows armor. He knows maneuver warfare. And now he knows something else. The war is lost. Not because the Germans lack courage. Not because they lack skill. But because they cannot match this. He circles a mass of American tank columns with his pencil. "They are drowning us," he says quietly. In steel. Outside, the thunder of engines rolls east. And beyond the horizon, the steel tide is already closing on Paris. August 18, 1944, near Chambois, Falaise pocket. The road is no longer a road. It is a graveyard of machines. Steel lies twisted and burned across the valley floor, trucks overturned in ditches, horse carts smashed beneath tank tracks, half-tracks split open like tin cans. Dead engines still tick as they cool. Ammunition cooks off in random cracks and pops. The smell is everywhere: oil smoke, blood, burned rubber. Above it all, American artillery keeps firing. Shells walk methodically across the pocket, sealing it shut. Inside the cauldron, tens of thousands of German soldiers are trapped. What remains of Panzer Group West is trying to claw its way east before the jaws close forever. And cutting across every escape route are the Shermans. Hauptmann Dieter Kruger stands beside his disabled Panther, staring at the chaos. His right arm is bandaged. His face is streaked with soot. Around him, remnants of 3 divisions are attempting to break out under constant air attack. Panthers and Tigers push through wreckage. Trucks try to follow. Infantry cling to armor for protection. Then the thunder returns. From the west, Shermans. Not a platoon. Not a company. A wall. They advance across open ground in a broad line, turrets rotating, guns firing in sequence. Artillery bursts ahead of them. Machine guns rake the fields. American infantry follows behind, moving from crater to crater. Kruger raises his binoculars. He counts. 30. Then 40. Then he stops counting. "They've sealed it," he whispers. A Tiger to his left opens fire. Its 88 gun destroys a Sherman with a single hit. 2 more Shermans answer. The Tiger's turret explodes. Another Panther fires. A Sherman dies. 5 more roll over its burning wreck. The German tanks fight like cornered animals. Crews fire until their barrels glow. Infantry launch Panzerfausts from ditches and hedgerows. But the Americans do not slow. They absorb losses and keep moving. One wave replaces another. Overhead, the sky is full. Thunderbolts dive in pairs, firing rockets into fleeing columns. Mustangs strafe the roads. B-26 Marauders drop fragmentation bombs into packed convoys. The pocket tightens. German officers scream into radios that no longer work. Units fragment. Command dissolves. The last operational bridge east is under American fire. Kruger's Panther tries to move. The engine dies. He kicks the hull in frustration. "Get the men out," he orders. His crew climbs down and joins the stream of soldiers moving on foot toward the gap. They carry rifles. Some carry nothing at all. Around them, German armor burns. And everywhere, Shermans roll forward through the smoke. 3 days later, the pocket collapses. More than 50,000 Germans are captured. 10,000 are dead. What remains of Hitler's Western armored force ceases to exist. And the men who once laughed at the Sherman now walk into captivity under its guns. August 25th, Paris. The city erupts. Crowds flood the streets as American and Free French forces enter the capital. Church bells ring. Flags wave from every window. Shermans roll past the Eiffel Tower. They rumble down the Champs-Élysées. French civilians climb onto their hulls, kissing the armor, hugging the crews, showering them with flowers. Lieutenant Jack Thornton stands in his hatch and stares. A month ago, he was watching his friends burn in Normandy. Now he is driving through Paris. He taps the steel beside him. "Guess we're not such tin cans after all," he mutters. But east of Paris, the war is far from over. German high command is already regrouping. They still have Panthers. They still have Tigers. They still believe in superior machines. And deep inside the Reich, new designs are being rushed into production, heavier, deadlier, more desperate than anything before. The question is no longer whether the Sherman can survive. The question is whether even the steel tide can be stopped. Because ahead lies Germany. And the final battles will be fought against the last Panzer armies Hitler has left. Armies that know now what the Sherman really is. Not a toy. Not a joke. But the weapon of an industrial empire. In a bomb-damaged Château building near the German border, a senior Panzer general studies fresh reconnaissance photos. American armored divisions stretch across the countryside like rivers of steel. He closes his eyes. For the first time since 1939, he understands what it feels like to be on the wrong side of Blitzkrieg. And he knows what is coming. A war not of brilliance, not of tactics, but of numbers. And the numbers are no longer on Germany's side. The Sherman has crossed France, and now it is turning east, toward the Rhine, toward the heart of the Reich, toward the final reckoning. September 12, 1944, near Aachen, the German border. A cold rain falls across the west wall. Concrete dragon's teeth jut from the earth like broken fangs. Bunkers stare out from wooded hillsides. Minefields stretch across open ground. Barbed wire snakes through shell craters. This is the Siegfried line, Germany's last wall. Behind it waits the Reich. And now, for the first time in 5 years of war, enemy armor is at its gates. Shermans idle in muddy fields, engines ticking as they cool. Crews huddle beneath tarps, brewing coffee on engine decks. Maintenance teams crawl beneath hulls, tightening track pins and welding patch plates over shrapnel scars. The tanks look battered, but there are a lot of them. Rows upon rows. An entire armored army. Inside a reinforced bunker overlooking a road junction, General Hasso von Manteuffel studies the American buildup through a slit window. A veteran of Russia, he knows tanks. He has commanded Panthers in snow and dust and fire. What he sees now unsettles him. The Americans are not probing. They are assembling. Fuel dumps, ammo dumps, field hospitals, pontoon bridges stacked and ready, engineers mapping minefields. This is preparation for penetration. Manteuffel turns to his staff. They are not here to test us, he says. They are here to break us. At first light, the ground shakes. American artillery opens fire with the force of an earthquake. Thousands of guns unleash a rolling barrage across the German line. Bunkers vanish in clouds of dust. Tree lines disintegrate. Minefields erupt. Then the Shermans move. They advance behind armored bulldozers that carve lanes through obstacles. Flail tanks beat minefields into submission. Assault engineers sprint forward under smoke. Panzerfaust teams fire from hidden trenches. Shermans die, but more take their place. They grind over dragons' teeth. They smash through wire. They pour through the gaps. German pack guns open up. Shermans fall. American tank destroyers answer. Thunderbolts scream down from the clouds, rockets tearing open concrete. The line bends. Then it cracks. In a forest near Stahlberg, Major Otto Feldman commands a mixed Panzer group, Panthers, a handful of Tigers and infantry. He launches a counterattack. It is textbook. Flank ambush destroy. His Panthers surge out of the trees and hammer the American spearhead. Shermans burn. Infantry scatter. For a moment, it feels like 1941 again. Then the Americans respond. Smoke fills the forest. Artillery pounds the tree line. Tank destroyers slip into flanking positions. Shermans swarm around the German armor, firing from every angle. A Tiger is immobilized by an airburst shell. 3 Shermans circle it. One fires into its rear. The Tiger burns. Feldman watches his counterattack disintegrate. His radio crackles with desperate calls. We are outnumbered. They are attacking everywhere. We need fuel, we need ammunition. But none is coming. The roads behind them are under air attack. And the Americans keep coming. By October, Aachen falls. It is the first German city captured by the Allies. Civilians hide in cellars as Shermans roll past the cathedral. The Reich's western door stands open. Inside Berlin, Hitler rages. He demands new weapons, new tanks, new miracles. The Panther II, the Tiger II, the super heavy mouse. Steel giants that will crush the Americans. But the factories are rubble. The railways are broken. The fuel is gone. And still the Shermans advance. December brings snow. And with it Germany's last gamble. The Ardennes. December 16, 1944, before dawn. In frozen forests, German armor moves in silence. Panthers and Tigers roll with engines throttled low. Infantry march through waist-deep snow. Operation Whack am Rhine begins. The goal is simple. Split the Allied front. Reach Antwerp. End the war. And for the first days it works. American lines crumble. Units are overrun. Towns fall. Roads clog with retreating columns. German radio crackles with hope. But then the Shermans turn. At Bastogne, American paratroopers dig in. At St. Vith, armored units fight delaying actions. At the Meuse, engineers prepare bridges. And racing north through the snow comes Patton's Third Army. His Shermans drive day and night, engines wrapped in tarps against the cold. Crews sleep on their decks. Maintenance teams work in blizzards. They reach Bastogne in record time. They smash into the German flank. And once again the steel tide rolls. In the Ardennes, German Panthers stalk through fog and trees, hunting Shermans. And they kill many. But the Americans replace them. Always replace them. Fuel trucks follow the tanks. Ammo trucks follow the fuel. Recovery vehicles haul the wounded steel away. And the line holds, then pushes back. By January, the German offensive is dead. Their last reserves are gone. Their final armored gamble has failed. And now there is nothing left between the Shermans and the Rhine. On the frozen plains west of Cologne, General von Manteuffel stands beside his staff car and watches American tank columns roll east. He removes his gloves. "They have done what we could not," he says quietly. "They have turned industry into a weapon." The Rhine lies ahead. And beyond it, the heart of Germany. The end is coming. And it is coming on steel tracks. March 7, 1945, 1340 hours, Remagen, the Rhine River. Smoke drifts across the water. The Ludendorff Bridge still stands. German engineers were supposed to destroy it at noon. The charges failed. The detonators misfired. The last great river barrier of the Reich is open. And the first tanks to reach it are Shermans. Lieutenant Karl Timmerman stares through his binoculars from the west bank, disbelief etched across his face. His infantry has seized the bridge intact. Now American armor is racing toward it. From the east bank, German flak guns fire desperately. Snipers rake the span. Demolition teams sprint with satchel charges. It doesn't matter. Shermans thunder onto the bridge, steel tracks clanging against girders, one after another, engines screaming, crews ducking as bullets spark off armor. The Rhine has been crossed. Germany is breached. Across the river, the Reich unravels. Panzer units are shadows of their former selves, fuel rations measured in liters, crews trained for weeks instead of years, ersatz infantry armed with captured weapons and hope. In the ruins of Cologne, a lone Panther waits in ambush near the cathedral. Its commander, Oberfeldwebel Ernst Barkmann, watches the road through rubble and smoke. His tank is low on fuel. His crew is exhausted. But the city is still German. For now. Then the Shermans appear. They roll past the cathedral, their white stars smeared with brick dust. Infantry fans out behind them. One tank stops, scanning an intersection. Barkmann fires. The Sherman explodes. Another Sherman swings its turret. Barkmann fires again. A second American tank burns. For a moment, it is 1943 again. A Panther against the world. Then the world answers. Tank destroyers roar forward. Infantry launch bazookas from shattered windows. Artillery drops smoke and high explosive into the street. Barkmann's Panther reverses, scraping against a collapsed wall. A rocket slams into its rear deck. The engine ignites. The crew bails out into the ruins. The last Panther of Cologne burns beneath the shadow of the cathedral. East of the Rhine, the American advance becomes a flood. Entire armored corps drive day and night. They seize bridges intact. They bypass pockets of resistance. They cut off German units before they can react. Prisoners surrender by the thousands. Columns of refugees stream east, pushing carts and bicycles through the chaos. In the Harz Mountains, the last Panzer reserves try to regroup. They find only Shermans waiting. April 11, 1945, near Nordhausen. An American armored column enters a hidden camp in the forest. Barbed wire. Guard towers. Mass graves. The crews climb down from their tanks in silence. Hardened men who have crossed France and Germany now stare at something none of their training prepared them for. The war has become something else. The Shermans roll on. In Berlin, Hitler rants in a bunker. He orders phantom armies to counterattack. He demands divisions that no longer exist. He pins his hopes on teenagers and old men with Panzerfausts. Above him, the city burns. And across the countryside, the steel tide closes in. April 25, 1945, Torgau, the Elbe River. Shermans from the U.S. 69th Infantry Division meet Soviet T-34s on the riverbank. Hands are shaken. Photos are taken. The Reich is split in two. In the south, Patton's tanks drive into Bavaria. In the north, British armor pushes toward Hamburg. In the center, American Shermans roll through the heart of Germany. There are still Panthers hiding in forests. There are still Tigers guarding crossroads. But there are not enough. There will never be enough. On a country road near Munich, a German Panzer officer watches a column of Shermans pass. He throws his cap into the ditch. "The war is over," he says. And he is right. May 8, 1945. Germany surrenders. The guns fall silent. The steel tide finally slows. Across Europe, the Sherman rests among the ruins, scarred, dented, burned, rebuilt, and burned again. It was never the best tank. It was never the strongest. But it was always there. Always moving. Always coming. And in the end, that was enough. May 9, 1945. A muddy field outside Pilsen, Czechoslovakia. The war is over. But the battlefield still breathes. Smoke drifts from burned-out armor. Empty shell casings crunch under boots. The air smells of rain and cordite and old fire. Somewhere in the distance, a Sherman engine idles, its steady rhythm echoing across the quiet. Crews sit on their tanks in silence. Some clean their weapons. Some write letters. Some just stare at the horizon. For the first time in nearly a year, no one is shooting at them. Lieutenant Jack Thornton stands beside Lucky Lady, running a hand across her scarred hull. There are patch plates welded over old penetration marks. One track guard is bent. The paint is gone in places, burned down to bare steel. This tank crossed France. It fought at St. Lo. It drove through Paris. It broke the Siegfried line. It crossed the Rhine. It rolled into the heart of Germany. It survived what dozens of others did not. Thornton exhales slowly. "Hell of a ride," he whispers. A few miles away, a column of German prisoners shuffles down the road. They wear tattered field gray uniforms. Some still carry helmets. Many have no weapons. Among them walks Major Hans von Brecht. The Panzer officer who once believed one Tiger was worth 5 Shermans. He stops when he sees the American tank line. Rows of M4s parked nose to tail, engines ticking, crews lounging on turrets, maintenance teams already at work, swapping road wheels and tightening tracks. Even now, even after victory, they are still maintaining the line. Von Brecht shakes his head. "We never understood," he says quietly to no one. "We thought war was won by better machines." He looks at the endless steel. "But you built more." In a field headquarters, American officers study casualty lists. Thousands of Shermans lost. Burned. Blown apart. Buried in French fields and German forests. They remember the men who never made it home. They remember the smell of burning gasoline. They remember watching friends climb out of hatches on fire. The Sherman did not make them invincible. It made them relentless. In the years after the war, German generals write memoirs. They speak of tactics. They speak of Hitler's madness. They speak of missed opportunities. But again and again, one theme returns. The factories. The convoys. The endless replacement tanks. General Heinz Guderian himself admits it. The Americans mastered the art of mass. The Sherman becomes a symbol, not of perfection, but of purpose. It was designed to be built fast, shipped easily, repaired anywhere, driven by ordinary men, and kept running by extraordinary logistics. It was a tank for a global war, a machine for an industrial age. And when it met the finest armored force Europe had ever seen, it did not try to outduel it. It overwhelmed it. On victory parades, Shermans roll through liberated cities. Crowds cheer. Children climb onto their hulls. Veterans walk beside them, touching the steel like old friends. They remember what it took to get there. The hedgerows, the bocage, the frozen forests, the bridges under fire, the long roads east. They remember the men who didn't come back, and the tank that carried them forward. The German commanders who once mocked the Sherman were not wrong about its flaws. It was undergunned. It was thin-skinned. It burned. But they were wrong about what wins wars. Wars are not won by perfect weapons. They are won by weapons that arrive on time. Again, and again, and again. In the end, the Tiger was a predator. The Panther was a hunter. But the Sherman was a flood. And when the flood came, it drowned an empire in steel. And,